So here we are. After putting out these rankings over the last week or so, we've finally made it to the final position left to cover, being the center position. Every year I rank the top 10 players at each position twice, once around the midway point of the season, which is where we're at now, and once when the season concludes. And the reason I do this is because I feel as though it's important to always take the new information and context into consideration for this kind of discussion, and today we will be ranking the centers. Before we get started though, I wanted to thank FanDuel for sponsoring this video. Obviously, we're all sports fans here because you wouldn't be watching this video if you weren't. I can only assume we're all basketball fans here, but whether you follow the NBA, MLB, NFL, NHL, along with so many other professional sports leagues to choose from, FanDuel has you covered. There is always an option to play for any level of player on FanDuel Fantasy Sports, and how it works is quite simple. First, you choose a contest out of the hundreds that are available every day. Next, you draft your team without going over the provided salary cap. And finally, you can watch as the games play out in real time. That can lead to you earning real cash. The best part is that if you're a complete beginner, there are specific contests designed to help you learn the ropes while still being able to compete for real cash while you do it. Now, especially for all of the NBA fans specifically, there is a special offer going on right now where you can receive a voucher to enter an NBA contest completely free and win up to $25,000 in prizes. If any of this interests you in any way, be sure to use my custom FanDuel sign-up link that you can find both in the description of the video and pinned in the comments section to join today and start playing. Once again, thank you to FanDuel, and with that being said, let's get into the video. Before we get into the top 10, we'll be going through the honorable mentions that just missed the cut, and the players in this category are Jusuf Nurkic, Andre Drummond, DeAndre Ayton, Jarrett Allen, and Jonas Valanciunas. We won't spend too much time on the honorable mentions, but obviously the one that will catch everyone's eye is Andre Drummond, who just got bought out and joined the Los Angeles Lakers. Throughout Drummond's entire career, he's been someone who has put up huge numbers in the box score, specifically when rebounding the ball. But when you actually pay close attention to his production and play on the court, it's always seemed to be a bit hollow. Going to the Lakers is going to be a big moment for him in his career, because he could either prove to be their missing piece, or things could go sour, so we'll just have to wait and see. Now let's get into the top 10. Starting at number 10 on this list, we have Myles Turner of the Indiana Pacers. Turner's one of the best defenders in the league right now, and his work as a rim protector is one of the few consistently good things throughout the Pacers' rocky season this year. He's leading the league in blocks per game this year, swatting 3.5 shots per game. He does very well staying disciplined inside, and offensively, he operates as a versatile floor-spacing big man who knocks down threes at a decent clip. He'll likely be one of the finalists for the Defensive Player of the Year award as long as the Pacers can finish in the standings. That ends up having them in the playoffs, and for that, he squeaks into the top 10 for me. Next up at number 9, we have Clint Capella of the Atlanta Hawks. In his first season with the Hawks, he's been tremendous on the inside for a team playing some of its best basketball as of late. Capella's the leading rebounder this year, grabbing 14 rebounds per game, but he also scores about 15 points per game while shooting a nice 59% from the field, and he's brought an imposing presence on defense, protecting the rim as the Hawks desperately needed after struggling mightily on that end over the last few years. He works well with Trae Young in the pick and roll, he doesn't try to do more than what he's capable of, and he's just been a really good fit on this young up-and-coming team. Up next at number 8, we have Kristaps Porzingis of the Dallas Mavericks. Porzingis was brought to Dallas to be the right-hand man to Luka Doncic, and together their offensive firepower was supposed to form one of the most explosive duos in the league. Well, Luka Doncic has held up his end of the bargain, but Porzingis has been much more of a mixed bag out on the floor. The injury he suffered 2 years ago has definitely played a part in this, and he still missed time because of injuries this year as well. But as time has gone on, he still is a secondary scoring option that is ideal for the situation the Mavericks are in, and he has unlimited range at 7'3", so there are definitely plenty of good things that come with him too. He gives you 20 points and about 9 rebounds per game this year, which is pretty solid, but he will need to improve defensively and with his shot selection to regain his previous pre-injury form. Next up at number 7, we have Christian Wood of the Houston Rockets. Christian Wood was brought in as a big signing for the Rockets in the offseason, and to start the year off, he proved why he was ready for a bigger role after being a highly sought-after free agent. On the year, he's putting up about 22 points and 10 rebounds per game. He's a highly efficient scorer, both inside and out. He creates a ton of mismatches because of his strength as a ball handler at his size, and his impact on the team has become blatantly clear. Before he got injured this season, the Rockets had a winning record of 11 wins and 10 losses. Then once he went down and started missing time, the Rockets began one of the longest losing streaks we've seen in a while. He's worked incredibly hard to get to where he is now, and he deserves all the praise for the work that he's put in. Up next at number 6, we have Nikola Vucevic of the Chicago Bulls. Vuce was one of the best players traded at the trade deadline this year, and his addition should solidify the Bulls as legitimate playoff contenders in a pretty tight race in the middle of the Eastern Conference. Vucevic has always fallen into the category of a highly productive all-star caliber player who oftentimes felt underrated because of his lack of attention that he got with the teams he was on. But in Chicago, he's in a situation playing with Zach LaVine where they could potentially make some real noise. His production of 25 points, 12 rebounds, and 4 assists per game is incredibly impressive. He thrives both inside and out, he can pound it inside and dominate from the post, and his passing for a big man makes life easy for those around him. Next up at number 5, we have Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat. Bam and the Heat have had a pretty wild up and down season so far, as the Heat have arguably been affected by injuries and COVID as much as any team in the league, but Bam's been their rock holding things down throughout it all. He's truly one of the best defensive talents in the league, and for a big man, he not only protects the rim at a high level, but he's also one of the few players at his size capable of confidently switching out onto the perimeter and holding his own against smaller, quicker players as well. He's putting up about 19 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. He works well as a playmaker in the high post, his face-up game is a strong point in his game, and he just keeps getting better and better across the board year after year. Next up at number 4, we have Rudy Gobert of the Utah Jazz. Gobert's a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year winner who brings value and impact on that end of the floor at a level matched by very few, if any. The Jazz are so much better with him on the court, and his presence inside is key to their defense being ranked in the top 5 this season. Advanced metrics all show how impactful he is to the Jazz this year and their success. The numbers for the team with him on the court versus with him off the court back it up as well, and of course, he's one of the favorites this year to win the Defensive Player of the Year award yet again. Up next at number 3, we have Karl-Anthony Towns of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Towns is one of the most talented players in the league, trapped in an unfortunate situation in Minnesota. Year after year, the Wolves find themselves at the bottom of the standings, and while you could reasonably look at Towns for not leading them to better success, you just can't ignore how poorly the team has been built for all this time. He's one of the most skilled big men in the whole league, and his knockdown sharpshooting for a big man, being a 40% shooter from 3 while taking a high volume of attempts, is crazy impressive. He's as good as a player can be at the position without breaking into the absolute top tier, ranking just below the 2 players who are in the league of their own that we're about to discuss. Next up at number 2, we have Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. The top 2 at this position is as tight as humanly possible, and the fact that they're both leading MVP candidates this season is absolutely wild. Jokic is a one-man elite offense that scores and creates for others at a truly elite level, and the fact that he's as good of a passer as he is at the center position has never been seen before. There really isn't anything negative to say about him, besides the fact that at times he can struggle defending in space and protecting the rim, but other than that, you won't find a more productive player. And finally, at number 1 on this list, we have Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers. Embiid is having the best season of his career by far this year, and throughout pretty much the entire season, he was the leading MVP candidate because of how he was leading the number 1 seed Sixers. Unfortunately, he's missed a few weeks because of an injury, but he will be returning to the court soon to get back to continuing his MVP campaign. He's an unstoppable force in the post on offense, his face-up game and perimeter shooting are are much improved, and defensively, he has been a beast protecting the rim. And ultimately, the defensive edge is what I gave over him to give him the #1 spot over Jokic, and if he returns to form when he gets back on the court, he'll regain his status in the MVP race. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and go check out and download FanDuel using the link in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.